So hello everyone and welcome to a new series of videos for those who are contemplating a solo Disney World trip. This video is the first in the series and asks why a solo Disney World trip. If you're interested in other videos about my geek culture lifestyle and interests across reading, watching, playing and travelling, please don't hesitate to like this video, subscribe or tap the bell icon so you know when a new video is available. You could also reply with a comment because I get way too excited when the comment icon goes off on my mobile phone. It's hard to answer why a solo Disney World trip for everyone, but I can tell you my story which will help with the second half of this video and also the future videos to come. My wife of nearly 20 years left me in 2015. There is a fuller story behind that in another video, but to suffice for now, all you need to know is it happened. I will admit to reacting to her leaving as if I was mourning a death almost. It took me quite a while to get over. But in the latter half of 2016, going on 18 months later, I was happy to go on holiday. But the trouble is due to my circumstances at the time, it would have to be a solo holiday, something I'd not done before. I actually considered numerous options, and I eventually ruled each of those other options out and focused on Disney World. I am sure, and in fact I know, many people at that point thought I was completely crazy. So maybe the first thing we have to do is help justify why a solo Disney World trip makes sense in your head. Because contrary to popular belief, it does make sense, and a lot more people do it than you probably realise. So when you let people know that you're going on a solo Disney World trip, hell, even if you're going on a Disney World trip as a couple of adults, never mind solo, people will say, it's for families, it's for children, it's for couples. If you go on your own, it will be an abject failure and you are crazy. That is absolute bollocks. To some extent, you just have to think it through. Consider another solo trip option. You go to a hotel in a nice warm country, next to a beach. It's all inclusive, so you get all your food, relaxation, reading, the odd dip in the pool, the odd stroll along the beach, and you announce to your friends and family that you just need to go and reacquaint yourself with yourself and have some me time. Very few people would actually say that was a bad idea. They would pat you on the back, shake your hand, do however they express these things and go, you know what, that's a good idea, maybe you should do that. You see, from my point of view, a solo Disney World trip is different to what I've just described, but not that different. You spend time in a hotel, possibly a nice one. While in that hotel, you may spend time by the pool reading a book. I know I did. You may go to Typhoon Lagoon, which is essentially spending time by the beach. You may also nip out of that hotel for 2 or 3 hours on the morning to partake in the odd sojourn and experience, which might be some rides in a park, and then come back. It is very much, or can be very much, a very similar model to the type of holiday your friends were willing to pat you on the back about. In short, it is different, but it doesn't have to be crazily different. My trip was certainly about me reacquainting myself with myself after the divorce, and was very much a pivotal point in how I recovered from it. It meant I could go back to a place I was familiar. It meant I could engage in immersive and imaginative activities I enjoyed. And yes, I lazed around the pool reading books. Now I know what people are thinking. Yes, that's generally true, Ian, but there is a lot of differences in that the place is full of families, full of couples, and there isn't that many solo people around. And that is true. But I will tell you the one thing I learned from my solo trip, which to some extent will be a thread all the way through this, as we discuss the detail, is no one really cares. That's the one takeaway I took from my solo trip, which was a 14-day solo trip, and a true one. I didn't have loads of people out there that I was meeting, is that no one cared. Just think about it for a moment. When people spot you on your own, there is probably more reasons than I'm imagining why they might think you're on your own, assuming they're even thinking about it, which I think they're not, other than you've come on a holiday on your own. They could assume you're on that Disney bus making your way to a park to meet up with your family. They could assume that you're on that jet ski experience because the rest of your family didn't want to do it. There is just loads of reasons. I struck up conversations with other solo people who just seem to find you. And again, I didn't ask them whether they're on holiday on their own. I just assumed they were just on their own in that moment. You also get into discussions with families, you know, on the bus or when walking to a resort to get to another one, going back to your room. And those discussions never even touched on why I was on my own. So the key thing to take away from this video, which I'll leave you with, is when you're on a solo Disney holiday, no one will care. You also get into discussions with families, you know, on the bus or when walking to a resort to get to another one, going back to your room. And those discussions never even touched on why I was on my own. So the key thing to take away from this video, which I'll leave you with, is when you're on a solo Disney holiday, no one will care. It is perfectly sane to think a solo Disney World trip is a sensible thing. It is a perfectly sensible thing. It may be just the right thing for you at a certain point in your life. It can also be a uniquely uplifting experience, despite what other people may say, that can't really be duplicated by any other holiday type. In future videos, we'll get into specifics, how you should reflect on yourself to decide if a solo trip is right for you. We will then go on to discuss budgeting, travelling and accommodation, the mechanics around where to eat, experiencing the parks, and also something unique that happens when you're there solo. It is a very unique experience, and if you've thought it through, it can be a fantastic one. Thank you for listening. Be sure to consider liking this video and ideally subscribing, and if you're really keen, tap the bell icon. You can also post a comment, as I really do like responding to comments. Especially comment if you're considering a solo holiday, have one planned, or are about to go on one soon. Until next time.